everybody, look who's here again. It's Rachel who won't do my bits, but I'm still very happy to have her here with me to take a look at an episode she wrote. Shocker.
Go figure.
You can support the show and get extra content on my Patreon. Doodle-a-doot. And as we know, my name is Ashley Clements. Rachel's here. And this is the Look Back Diaries. Ba-ba-ba-da! So hey, it's been a minute. Welcome back.
Hello.
It's been minutes for us, but it's been quite a while for them. So very happy to have you again to talk about an iconic episode. You are bringing us more of the Jane Darcy that the crowds were clamoring for. I'm picturing that in my head the way that people would write it, like Jane exclamation point Darcy, but I don't know how you say that out loud to express Jane Darcy. You can't.
There are no words for some
You can't.
things.
I actually don't know where that convention comes from, that's how people would write out the costume theater when they were explaining.
I feel like it's a fan fiction thing.
That makes sense. That makes very much sense. You just need to watch and share your memories and thoughts. How about we do that now?
Travel back 10 years. I'm sure we'll remember all of this.
10 years to a different wall in Jenny's apartment. Or same room, rather.
Oh, yeah.
Signature Jane braid. A dress that was actually on loan from ModCloth. Oh, and my top, that is something that Laura brought me. That happened a few times, that Laura said, I thought this might be good for Lizzie, which is like maybe the most Jane Bennett thing that she did. Where she was like,
there were a few things that she did that were very Jane Bennett.
I thought that this would be good for you. Well, it's funny because, like, you know, I've had Laura on really talking about the fact that, you know, she's like, I'm not nearly as precious as Jane. But she's a good, nice person, and those were some very thoughtful things that she did. This is, I think, like the most Darcy. I mean, you wrote a lot of Darcy. Oh, that's a famous one. Does not compute. But you wrote a lot of Darcy cosplay, or not cosplay, costume theater. They're different. But no actual Darcy, like not a line of Darcy's dialogue, I think, ultimately. Yeah, you were very immersed in the Lydia stuff at that point. But this is, you know, sort of the rare non-Lydia stuff that you did. But anyways, I think it's great that you brought back the beloved Jane Darcy, which you had also introduced in episode 15. So give the people what they want.
This was the first round of episodes, I believe, or maybe the second, where like we had actually seen you guys act stuff out, so it made it like a lot easier to start writing.
Oh wow, so you'd written the first Jane Darcy without having seen any of us do it.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's crazy.
Had to start
but
somewhere.
Now you wrote it knowing that it was a hit.
Yeah, that made it so much fun to do.
And here we've made him a hipster sound guy.
I love that everyone's interpretation of Darcy was so different.
That's so true. He had many different interests.
Like,
well,
no
also
one
like
had
the
any idea what to
Twitter
expect.
is it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know that they entirely all add up. I think DVG did an incredible job of justifying our impressions of him, but
yeah,
really good for dancing. Yeah,
but nobody made it easy for him.
That is by no means an invitation. We didn't, which is why in the end it could only be DVG. But I will talk about that months from now.
Oh, gotta wait so long for Darcy Day.
It'll be worth it.
And his mocking face and his beady little mocking eyes.
I know, you told him as much.
Well, I didn't say exactly that.
You might as well have. Oh wait, didn't something else happen after that?
But here's a good job, again, of you creating conflict with Jane that's not like us in a fight, but conflict.
Yeah.
I would never dare hate you.
Oof.
Ooh,
Morally superior.
Online.
Have you not been following his MO? Vanity, pride.
Look what SparkNotes will get you.
I trust my gut.
Deep understanding of this project.
Well, I think it means you had the plot
I
and
haven't met the guy yet.
less the
What about
like.
Caroline?
I knew the title.
You know.
It's
I'll
true.
admit, Caroline is great. I missed
You
on
had
that
the
one.
Well, I'm going to go to dinner with Bing. Are you going to be okay?
It's interesting, like when we started getting these
Is
kind
that
of.
an invitation?
I feel like this is a longer episode already, right?
No, I was just being.
We just kept
Nice.
tacking on minutes.
This is this is almost 5 minutes. So yeah, we are very much getting
Well, that was
longer
fun.
here.
Jane is getting kind of pushy, am I right? This whole being in a loving, caring relationship with a decent guy is really warping her personality. And it's really good for her.
Yeah,
Or
gross,
it could just
whatever.
be that we've been here for
Can
so
you tell I wrote this?
nice, Darcy. It's like every time you say those words together, an angel loses its wings. So let's stop saying it. I bet some of
Let's
you
see.
are gonna jump on this Darcy train and go off and write fan fiction about us.
Oh, a
having
fan
Tying it
fiction
all together.
reference.
And
Well,
am
I think
not
you were
one
also
who
trying to
sparks
encourage
creativity,
them to do
I
so.
say epic fan fiction.
That sounds like a-
go nuts.
An idea.
But with Darcy, well, you
There's a
are
lot.
nuts.
It worked. It's out there. So this is your only Netherfield episode, but you were very busy writing at the time, and since I have you in this stretch of time, I'd love to check in with you about the Lydia vlogs, because again, you should go watch them at home. They're a great addition to the story, but I had nothing to do with making them, and so I am not including them in my rewatch. You should rewatch them, but I don't have anything to add other than like the experience as a fan. Like, oh, yeah. And also the experience of like probably being able to identify the locations for the most part. Going like, I know where in Los Angeles there. That's Mary Kate's apartment.
Yeah.
That's Barnesdale Park. But
It's very Los
right?
Feliz central. Yeah, for the most part.
mhm.
You know,
Mhm.
actually, I did write an episode of the Lydia vlogs that you were in, but we couldn't make it happen.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It was later
That's
on,
too
I
bad.
think. Yeah.
Well, also the conceit was that Lizzie wasn't watching them, so it would have been
Yeah.
hard to put me in because that seems
Yeah, I think
like,
we hadn't decided that yet. I don't remember when exactly it was. We'll find the
probably
scripts one
once
day.
you were really revealing stuff about Wickham, it was like, oh yeah, Lizzie can't watch this. But you know, it's actually established very early on in Enjoy the Adorbs, which is a very Lydia heavy episode that you did not write. But it's established there, you know, she starts that as a fake haul video because she knows that Lizzie will stop watching. So
Yeah.
we've actually established really early on that Lizzie doesn't watch Lydia's stuff. So it totally worked out. But so how did it come about that you would write the whole thing? Because you wrote all of Lydia.
Yeah. Margaret was doing more of the actual LBD stuff than I was. She was like a higher level and really shepherding a lot of stuff. So at the time, it was just the three of us. And Bernie obviously had a lot on his plate as well. So it just made sense that it would be me to go ahead and do it. And I think I had kind of written, not all of the Lydia stuff, but a lot of it already at that point. So Bernie was like, is this something you'd be interested in? Like, we can talk about some episodes. And I was like, yeah, well, sure.
And then there had been backlash to the lack of Mary and Kitty after the second episode, which surprised everyone. But how did it come about that she would be, because it meant that we had to cast a Mary around the time that we were also casting for Bing and Caroline. So there was some planning going on for this. And yeah, do you remember how it came about that Mary would be the person in Lydia's
Well, it was
vlogs
mostly
with
just
her?
like a matter of being like, well, we can't really use anyone else because they are off at this
Netherfield.
Netherfield place. So
really stretching the bounds of believability, but yeah, it was hard to do Modern Update.
yeah, it was. That was one of the harder ones. But we couldn't really use anyone there, and like just in terms of practicality, like having you guys in more of both of the
Right,
vlogs
you
at the
could have
same time
used
didn't make a lot of
Charlotte,
sense.
I guess, but why Charlotte and Lydia
Yeah.
would be hanging out would not have made a lot of sense.
I feel like Bernie's answer to that would have been that then we would have had to make the videos look more professional because Charlotte
Right.
would have been there, which, you know, the whole point of doing the Lydia stuff was that we could do them like even not really faster, I guess, because we moved locations, but it was so cheap and so easy. And it was just me and Bernie and Mary Kate.
Yeah.
Like, and
I
whoever, like,
remember you talking about that.
Yeah. So we just did,
Right.
You know, all of it. Like her hand was just Bernie holding the camera, and then like
Mm-hmm.
weird
Yeah, I remember
stuff.
her talking about like her arm getting tired. Like, yeah, I mean, it's funny nowadays. Our phone cameras are so good that, you know, if someone had like an iPhone 13, she might have actually just been filming it herself.
Yeah.
But it was a probably Canon DSLR.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I just remember that it had to be shut off every 15 minutes.
That's right. In that
Lest it
hot room.
overheat. So that is happening at the same time, and everyone should go watch them. There's a link in the description. And they're quite short to begin with. But so when they were first conceived of, that was just like to keep Lydia in, and there was a fun way to introduce Mary and have this cousin. But they were not originally conceived of as this brilliant way, as they became, to showing kind of this other side of, to show Lydia's side of what was happening with Wickham.
Yeah, I think we have, I think there's like one kind of serious episode in the first, like, I think it was like 6 or 8 episodes that we did for the first round of Lydia Vlogs. And it was like one where she's babysitting and is relating to the kids too much because like one is being mean to the other or something like that. And that was the only, that was like the first introduction in that set of vlogs, of like Lydia doing kind of more in depth with her character. And it was something that Mary Kate and I both really wanted to do. And I remember we had to rush so fast through the first day because it was the episode that Bernie wanted to cut. And the only way that we could actually do it is if we got through everything else first. And we were both really determined to keep it in there, so we did. And then it kind of just, turned into something else from there.
Yeah, and then it was something that would kind of like cycle back anytime that Lydia wouldn't have been with Lizzie. Yeah, so there's like the first round of Lydia Vlogs, and then the second round, and then the third round is with Wickham. But I remember that the conversation, everyone got a spin-off eventually because the show was popular and why not? But no one could justify Jane having her own vlog.
Yeah,
So,
I remember it was talked about
nice
a few times
her.
early on. And like there was just no way to kind of make it work for Jane.
Well, and if she was
going
to do anything, she would do like a fashion thing, but then you'd really have to have someone with that expertise to really be doing it. So
wasn't gonna be me.
And I only own this shirt, so not me. It was a nice way to keep Jane alive and in the world as well. So, but I'm getting ahead of myself. I do that sometimes. Let's take a look at the comments for this episode because I have a feeling that people are enjoying the Jane Darcy stuff. Miracle Winchester 6 years ago said, I pity poor Mr. Darcy and his overwhelming crush on Lizzie. Okay, don't worry, he'll be fine. You're gonna go write fan fiction. Slowly holds up a copy of Pride and Prejudice. Hats off to you, Alpha Dog XX. What's interesting is these responses are not actually acknowledging Jane. Here we go, down here. Lily said Jane as Darcy is gold. But what it means is that people were so receiving Jane as Darcy that they invested in Lizzie and Darcy, even though Darcy had not even been cast yet. But yes, Jane as Darcy is my favorite thing ever about this whole entire series, Nikki says. Exactly. M says, when Lizzie brings up that the audience will write Dizzy fanfic, I can only imagine Darcy watching this video for the first time and quietly opening up a new tab and looking up Dizzy fics immediately. In my headcanon, after Lizzie and Darcy get together, this is how Darcy always asks her to dance. Well, we'll have you back sometime to talk more about other things. Probably Lizzie Bennet Diaries related.
Very detailed plan. I'm here for it.